Chapter 2. Working in an Office. Section 1. A few days later, Arthur and Mary moved into their new flat. They spent the first week settling in. The flat had been left in rather a filthy state. The carpet was stained, the paintwork was covered in dirt, and there were rather a lot of cobwebs in the corners. Both Arthur and Mary worked very hard. Arthur didn't enjoy cleaning very much, but Mary insisted on his helping. By the end of the first week, the flat was spick and span. The paintwork was gleaming, and you could actually see the colors of the living room carpet. They had to spend quite a lot of money getting one or two things that were not provided, such as a bath mat, an alarm clock, reading lamps, and a number of extra kitchen utensils. So when Monday came, Mary decided that it was about time she went out and earned some money. She decided she didn't want to tie herself down to a regular job at this stage, so she went round to one of the many secretarial agencies in London to get herself a temporary job. At 10 o'clock, she walked into the Dover Street Bureau, where she was given a form to fill in. She had to write down all her personal details, such as age, date of birth, education, past experience, typing and shorthand speeds, type of employment required, and her last salary. After doing this, she was interviewed by a smartly dressed middle-aged lady who read through her form, asked her a few questions, and then opened a drawer in a steel filing cabinet and took out a few cards with details of various jobs available. First, there was a job going with a large hotel company, but the hours for this didn't suit her. Then there was a job with a small firm, but this involved working in an office all on her own. Finally, there was a job in a travel agency working with a lot of people. This seemed ideal for her, as it was just round the corner from her flat. Mary told the interviewer she was very interested in the job at the travel agency. She was then asked when she was available, as they needed somebody urgently. So she was given an introduction card and went straight round to the travel agency. Section 2. Many temp agencies have grown up in the post-war years to cater for the increasing demand for secretarial services, especially in London. The reasons for this are a shortage of women with suitable qualifications, the fact that the modern girl prefers variety in her working life, and the fact that many women, such as housewives with domestic commitments, are not available for regular employment. Many firms have given up employing their own shorthand typists and rely on the agencies to save them the trouble of recruiting their own staff. Some bosses, however, do not enjoy knowing that the girl who is typing a letter for him today will probably not be working for him tomorrow. They can't help feeling that such girls won't have the same loyalty to them as a regular employee would. This is part of a leaflet Mary read at the Dover Street Bureau.
A good secretary must be able not only to type and take shorthand, but she must also be able to look after her boss in a number of other ways. She must make sure that he is not disturbed by people he does not wish to see or speak to for one reason or another, as the modern executive has enough on his plate as it is. She must keep his engagement book and remind him about all the things he has to do, the people he has to see, and the meetings he has to attend. Sometimes the secretary acts as a receptionist, and in this case she is the first person in the office that a visitor meets. Therefore, she must be pleasant in manner and appearance, polite and helpful. Sometimes she actually has to compose letters, rather than merely type out letters dictated by her boss. She also, of course, has to do a little bookkeeping and filing, and answer the telephone.
Section 3. This is one of the letters Mary typed on her first day.
Pop Tours Limited, 149 Salisbury Street, London, SW7Z 3AH. The 3rd of September, 1976. To Mr. H. Featherstone, 73 Priory Grove, Wigan, Lancashire. Dear Sir, thank you for your letter of the 31st of August, in which you asked if it would be possible for you to have a room on the ground floor in the Hotel Splendido in El Kebab for your holiday at Christmas. Mr. Omar, the manager, assures us that this is definitely possible, so we have made a provisional booking on your behalf. We trust that you will enjoy your holiday. Yours faithfully, L.J. Thomas, Tour Manager.
Dialogue.
Can I help you, madam?
Yes, I'm the new temp. The Dover Street Bureau sent me. I'm supposed to see Mr. Hughes.
Oh, well, look, you'd better go up to personnel. It's on the first floor. You can't miss it.
I see. Yes. Shan't be a minute, I'm on the phone. Now, George, we keep on getting letters about this, and I can't help feeling that there's something very wrong somewhere. Anyway, I've got to ring off now. There's somebody waiting to see me. Now, what can I do for you?
I'm from the Dover Street Bureau. Here's the card.
Ah, thanks. Let's see. You're Mrs. Newton, are you?
Yes, that's right.
Well, can you start straight away?
Yes, certainly, Mr. Hughes, if you want me to.
Ah, that's fine, then. Let's go along to Mr. Thomas in the tours section. He'll be your new boss. I hope you'll enjoy working here. Have you ever worked in the travel business before?
No, I haven't, actually. Before I was married, I used to work in a library.
Here we are. Can you spare a minute, Larry? This is Mrs. Newton, your new secretary. This is Mr. Thomas.
Welcome to the madhouse, Mrs. Newton.
Oh, it's like that, is it?
Yes, I'm afraid so.
Well, I must get back to the grind now. I'll leave Mrs. Newton in your capable hands.
Well, Mrs. Newton, here's your desk. That's your typewriter.
Oh, good. It's an electric one. I hate using the other kind.
Well, that's good. The last girl we had kept on complaining about it because she wasn't used to it. Now, let's think. We start at 9 and finish at 5:30. Your lunch is between 1 and 2. Now, can you do a bit of overtime sometimes?
Oh, I don't know. My husband detests doing his own cooking.
Haven't you trained him properly yet? But seriously, it won't be very often, and not more than a couple of hours at the outside.
Oh, well, that's all right then.
Look, there are one or two things I've put off doing. I've got one particularly urgent letter I can't delay getting off any longer. You'll find a notebook and pencil in the top drawer of your desk. If you could just take down this letter. It's to Mr. Featherstone.
Oral practice 1. Listen and repeat. A. Letters about this. Getting letters about this. We keep on getting letters about this. B.
Business before? Worked in the travel business before? Have you ever worked in the travel business before?
C.
Overtime sometimes. A bit of overtime sometimes. Now, can you do a bit of overtime sometimes?
D.
Put off doing. I've put off doing. One or two things I've put off doing. Look, there are one or two things I've put off doing.
E.
If your desk. In the top drawer of your desk. Notebook and pencil in the top drawer of your desk. You'll find a notebook and pencil in the top drawer of your desk.
That's the end of Oral Practice 1. Oral Practice 2. You will now hear a dialogue in which you are going to take part. Listen, please.
Can I help you? Yes. I'm looking for a job as a secretary.
Oh, I see. Do you want to work in any particular district?
No, any part of London will do. As long as it's fairly central, that is.
I see. Now, can you tell me how old you are?
I'm 22, actually.
Now, where were you working before?
I was working in an insurance office until last week.
Can you tell me why you left?
Well, my old boss left, and I didn't like the new one.
Oh, dear. Now, what about your shorthand and typing? What sort of speeds have you got?
I can do 100 words a minute shorthand and 50 a minute typing.
Well, that's quite good, isn't it? How much did they pay you at your last job?
Well, I was getting about 1,600 a year, so I wouldn't want anything less than that.
Well, I'll see what I can find for you. I'm sure we'll be able to find something.
Now you will hear the dialogue again. This time you must talk to the young lady and speak at the same time as the speaker on the tape.
Can I help you?
Yes, I'm looking for a job as a secretary.
Oh, I see. Do you want to work in any particular district?
No, any part of London will do. As long as it's fairly central, that is.
I see. Now, can you tell me how old you are?
I'm 22, actually.
Now, where were you working before?
I was working in an insurance office until last week.
Can you tell me why you left?
Well, my old boss left, and I didn't like the new one.
Oh, dear. Now, what about your shorthand and typing? What sort of speeds have you got?
I can do 100 words a minute shorthand and 50 a minute typing.
Well, that's quite good, isn't it? How much did they pay you at your last job?
Well, I was getting about 1,600 a year, so I wouldn't want anything less than that.
Well, I'll see what I can find for you. I'm sure we'll be able to find something.
Good. Now this time you must talk to the young lady on your own. Are you ready? Begin now.
Yes, I'm looking for a job as a secretary. No, any part of London will do. As long as it's fairly central, that is. I'm 22, actually. I was working in an insurance office until last week. Well, my old boss left, and I didn't like the new one. I can do 100 words a minute shorthand and 50 a minute typing. Well, I was getting about 1,600 a year, so I wouldn't want anything less than that.
That's the end of Oral Practice 2. Oral Practice 3. Listen carefully to the passage. When you've heard it once or twice, try to answer these questions in your book.
Many offices have a typing pool. This is a large room where all the typing for the office is sent. The typing pool has a large number of girls, all sitting at typewriters. There are the copy typists, who just copy from one piece of paper to another. Then there are the audio typists, who listen to tape that have been recorded by one of the executives talking into a dictating machine. The copy typists don't get paid quite as much as the audio typists. In charge of them all is the supervisor, whose job it is to allocate the work fairly and see that the girls don't waste too much time making up their faces, varnishing their nails, or talking to one another about their latest boyfriends. The girls usually arrive at 9 in the morning and finish at 5:30 in the evening. Lunch is staggered. This means that the girls don't all go to lunch at the same time. Half of them go at 12 and come back at 1, and the other half have their lunches between 1 and 2. Most of the girls prefer to have their lunch at a different time from the supervisor. The supervisor knows this, and so she never tells the girls what time she's going to lunch and what time she's coming back.
That's the end of Oral Practice 3. Oral Practice 4. Listen, please. Why do you smoke?
Well, I don't enjoy smoking. I just can't help doing it.
Well, I don't enjoy smoking. I just can't help doing it. Why does Jane bite her nails?
Well, she doesn't enjoy biting her nails. She just can't help doing it.
Well, she doesn't enjoy biting her nails. She just can't help doing it. Now, you go on in the same way. Why do you smoke? Well, I don't enjoy smoking. I just can't help doing it. Why does Jane bite her nails? Well, she doesn't enjoy biting her nails. She just can't help doing it. Why does the supervisor shout at the girls? Well, she doesn't enjoy shouting at the girls. She just can't help doing it. Why do the children get dirty? Well, they don't enjoy getting dirty. They just can't help doing it. Why do you spill tea down your shirt? Well, I don't enjoy spilling tea down my shirt. I just can't help doing it. Why does Arthur look miserable? Well, he doesn't enjoy looking miserable. He just can't help doing it. Why does Mary spend too much money? Well, she doesn't enjoy spending too much money. She just can't help doing it. Why does that man steal? Well, he doesn't enjoy stealing. He just can't help doing it. Oral Practice 5. Listen, please.
I'm sorry, I've made a mistake.
But you keep on making mistakes. But you keep on making mistakes.
I'm sorry, I arrived late this morning.
But you keep on arriving late. But you keep on arriving late. Now you go on in the same way.
I'm sorry, I've made a mistake.
But you keep on making mistakes.
I'm sorry, I arrived late this morning.
But you keep on arriving late.
I'm sorry, I burnt the toast.
But you keep on burning the toast.
I'm sorry, I forgot to file the letters.
But you keep on forgetting to file the letters.
I'm sorry I broke the cups.
But you keep on breaking the cups.
I'm sorry I lost the keys.
But you keep on losing the keys.
I'm sorry I left without locking up.
But you keep on leaving without locking up.
I'm sorry I shouted at you.
But you keep on shouting at me. Oral practice 6. Listen, please.
You seem to be having problems. Haven't you used an electric typewriter before?
No, I'm not used to using one.
No, I'm not used to using one.
You look frozen. Don't you go out in cold weather very often?
No, I'm not used to going out in cold weather.
No, I'm not used to going out in cold weather.
Now you go on in the same way.
You seem to be having problems. Haven't you used an electric typewriter before?
No, I'm not used to using one.
You look frozen. Don't you go out in cold weather very often?
No, I'm not used to going out in cold weather.
You've left most of your wine. Don't you drink it very much?
No, I'm not used to drinking it.
That cigar's making you cough. Don't you normally smoke them?
No, I'm not used to smoking them.
You're out of breath. Don't you play much tennis then?
No, I'm not used to playing tennis.
You look tired. Don't you usually stay up this late?
No, I'm not used to staying up this late.
What's wrong with your dinner? Don't you eat much English food?
No, I'm not used to eating it.
Don't you like work? You're not working very hard.
No, I'm not used to working hard.
Oral practice 7. Dictation. Cover up the passage and listen, please.
Some people think that secretaries do all the work in the office. A popular image of an executive is a man who arrives at least half an hour later than the clerks, typists, and secretaries. He then settles down to do the crossword puzzle until his coffee arrives. Then he calls in his secretary to dictate masses of letters to her, after which it is time for lunch. The lunch hour is usually much longer than 60 minutes. It very often finishes at the same time as the pubs close. Most of the afternoon is spent in sleeping off lunch. His last act of the day is to sign all the letters that his secretary has been busy typing all day.
Now you'll hear the passage again, and this time you must write down what you hear. Stop the machine at the pauses.
Some people think that secretaries do all the work in the office. A popular image of an executive is a man who arrives at least half an hour later than the clerks, typists, and secretaries. He then settles down to do the crossword puzzle until his coffee arrives. Then he calls in his secretary to dictate masses of letters to her, after which it is time for lunch. The lunch hour is usually much longer than 60 minutes. It very often finishes at the same time as the pubs close. Most of the afternoon is spent in sleeping off lunch. His last act of the day is to sign all the letters that his secretary has been busy typing all day.
Now, here's the passage again.
Some people think that secretaries do all the work in the office. A popular image of an executive is a man who arrives at least half an hour later than the clerks, typists, and secretaries. He then settles down to do the crossword puzzle until his coffee arrives. Then he calls in his secretary to dictate masses of letters to her, after which it is time for lunch. The lunch hour is usually much longer than 60 minutes. It very often finishes at the same time as the pubs close. Most of the afternoon is spent in sleeping off lunch. His last act of the day is to sign all the letters that his secretary has been busy typing all day.
Now, check the dictation in your book. That's the end of Chapter 2.